Welcome guys, today we're going to be doing a burst fade tutorial. Kier is growing his hair out from a buzz cut and we've already got a bit of length in the back from doing this a few times before. He wants to grow it even longer and get a bit more texture in the top and in the back. So we're just going to do a nice fade on it to keep it looking good as it grows out. It's still pretty short, so we're still going to sharpen up the fringe, maybe use the razor or some point cutting to texturize all this and try to keep as much of this shape up around the edges here as we can. Right, so things we're going to have to consider on this haircut is, if you look at the crown here, this is growing this way, it's growing down, and then this is growing round. So we're going to be able to fade into this really easily because we're just going to go up and against it. And keeping this shape around here, keeping a nice curve, should be pretty easy to do. Whereas this side, this wants to start swirling back and growing back the way. So we've got to be a little bit more careful about how we keep this weight here. So we're going to probably keep the skin pretty low and give ourselves quite a bit of room to fade this out. And maybe something a little bit sharper here. And the same at the back there, just as we're growing this out. We don't want to take it too short though, because we eventually want the shape, instead of coming out like this, to be flowing down like that. So, first thing we're going to do is going to use our 2-guard, and we just want to debulk from almost around where the hairline is going to be, all the way around to there. And we're going to try and keep as much of this as we can. We don't want to end up taking this too thin. Sometimes when you're fading into this area, you can really thin the back of the burst fade out, so we're just going to keep it a little lower and try and stretch this out a bit more so it doesn't look like a big rat's tail down the back of his head. So you get the two teeth are going to be flat against the head, and we're not going to be flicking out, we're going to be flicking through. And we're just going to get all the hair all around here down to the 2-guard, the length there. See, I'm pressing in pretty tight against the head there. His hair's a bit more wavy and it's hugging the head a bit more, so I don't want to be flicking right out like that or you won't catch it all. Next we're going to get the trimmer. I'm going to put this skin line in here. So I'm going to try and keep it below here and maybe just right above the ear. Have it drop down at the front. I'm just coming back on it and curving around the ear here. And then straight down the back. And just make sure you're pulling the ear really flat here so that your trimmers don't catch any bits of skin or anything like that. Next, get the foils. So with the foils, I like to go down the way first to take it as short as you can before you come back up against it. So you can hear it cutting it a little bit there, and then in little circles going back up just underneath the line, behind the ear, just striking down the way. And then there wasn't actually a lot here at the neck there to get rid of anyway. Next we're going to get the old one guard. It's a good guard because the teeth are a lot smaller, so it digs under the hair a lot more, catches it better. We're going to flick into where the 2 was. So there's a little bit more of a flick at this length than there was at the 2. And we're still kind of staying away from this area a little bit just so we can keep it darker to shape it up. And you can see almost where the hair is softer above it, it almost like dents back in the way, so we don't really want to touch any of this hair with a 1.5, but we want to scoop under here and like join the 1.5 into the 2 there. So I'm just pushing with my finger and pulling with my thumb at the same time. And you've got the clipper angled right under, or right over, so that the teeth flick up and underneath the hairs. And then tilt the head forward a little bit as you get to the back, just so that you don't have to pull your whole body over. And I'm just coming kind of up and against the hairs there. Not fully against them, because we still need to get that flick into the 2. And this is what I mean by it can start really thinning out here, so you really need to be careful about how you keep this. Next we're going to get the 0.5, and we're going to do our 0.5 line all the way around now. We're still going to keep it in behind this line a bit. I'm going to use the corners as we go from behind the ear onto the neck. Still trying to catch all those hairs that are growing down that way. Get them all down to the 0.5. You can see all the different shades of kind of mousy red and brown in his hair. When you go a lot shorter you can see it a lot more, so on this kind of hair you've got to use your corners a lot more to take those darker hairs a bit shorter to colour match them in with the rest of the hairs. And you get the one guard again. It's going to be closed, so it's just a 1. I'm going to flick that line out here into the 0.5. So you can hear it just catching them. And this is a bit more of an aggressive flick, because you're trying to blend it in a shorter amount of space, or a smaller amount of space. I'm using the corners to push in a little bit higher on the little bits that are darker. How hard you need to press and how aggressive the flick is just depends on the type of hair you've got. So if it's this hair is almost a little bit wavier when it's longer, but when it gets shorter it's super straight and it sticks straight out, so you want to flick through it quite hard to catch them all. And just open it a little bit and just pushing a bit higher. You see, I'm just changing the angle of the clipper, just trying to get all those darker ones. I think we can take this a tiny bit tighter in here. So use the 1.5 guard. I'm just going to push in a little bit more into there. And you can hear it catching it all. And close the guard up. And press in again. You can see it moving that weight a little bit higher. And we get the 0. I'm just going to blend out this last little line here. So I'm going to push his ear flat again. This is a much smaller flick, but you still want it to be with a bit of conviction and a bit of pressure. You can still push a little bit in there and start refining it up a bit. And just take a step back and see how it's looking. So we still need to refine around here a little bit. And then just maybe a tiny bit in here. But what we'll do is we'll shape this up first, and then any of this area here that we need to take some of the darkness out of, we can do it after. I'll just blend the beard in as well. So you get the trimmer again, and we can just touch away any dark spots around there. And then tilt the head forward, bend it round, stand a little bit in front of the head. And I like to hold the head with my left hand to stabilise it, and then with my right hand I balance my finger on his cheek, and then I'm just gonna go just inside of the hairline there where the skin was, and then just enhance the darkness here. You use the corner of your trimmer like a pencil to just draw that line through it. And then here. And then same here, where it's sparse, you're not going to be able to shape it up here, so you may as well just push all these lighter ones away. And then last thing we'll do on this side is just scissor over comb just where this weight is here. So we're just going to lift the hair slightly. And just touch it bit by bit. So I'm holding the comb in here and I'm just scooping under. And the bottom blade's staying the same all the time. I'm just moving my thumb and lifting the hair up and scooping out. You don't want to go in and round all this off. You're trying to basically create a small bit of graduation here with the scissor and the comb instead of doing it with sections. And then the same at the front here. Change the head position. And I'm lifting it out and almost angling it back out. You could use clipper over comb for something like this, but I think when the hair is growing and changing directions, you can be a lot more accurate with the scissors. And then this up here on the corner, we can chop on into all this with sections on the top later on. And just take some of that corner down. This bit can be a bit nippier to get. I don't think this bit needs to be as blended. It's pretty messy, this kind of bit anyway. It's supposed to look like that, but any bits that are really visually unblended, just try and touch into some of them. The angle that you're doing this at can be a bit weird. So just be aware what bits of the comb that you're targeting with the scissors, so you don't try to blend this bit and accidentally cut this bit. Right, now I've got to do the same on the other side. So you can see all this weight here, even just from the start when we clip her into this. This is going to look different from that side if we're not careful, just the way it's growing. This bit here will look a lot more like this bit here. Whereas on this side, because it's growing down the way, this still looks nice and soft here. It isn't like this clippered stuff here. I don't know if that makes much sense, but you might get to see it, so I'm going to shuffle around here a little bit. So, same process again with the two. And we're flat against the head and we're flicking up and through where our graduation would be on the contour of the head. My elbow's pretty rigid as I do this, and I'm moving in this kind of motion here. You can already see this wanting to start sticking out up here. We've barely even touched it yet. So we're aiming for around here as well, just to link almost the foundation of the clipper work with the hairline. And then tilt it forward. Do you want to come around this side? Look, now we can see what I was talking about here. So I'm just going to very carefully just see if I can soften that as we go, just to see how it's sitting before we refine it later on. So get the trimmers. Right, so I'm going to start here again. I always think it's important to get as many of the hairs off as you go. Don't let them build up, try and keep it as clean as you can, you'll always be able to see what you're doing a lot better. We're always just leaving a tiny little space underneath the line. You don't want to take the foils like right into here, and then you've got a big bald line right where a zero is, and there's no buffer between the skin and the zero. It just makes that line way harder to get out. So 1.5 again, flicking into the 2. This is where we're going to start seeing this wedge a little bit more that we're going to have to soften, so try not to take the 1.5 too high into here. It's going to be a nightmare to get back out. And just blend this beard out quickly as well. So, like before, with the 2, motion was like this. With the 1.5, it's a lot more with my wrist. The shorter the guard gets, the shorter like the stroke of the clipper is. So when it's a 2 or a 3 and you've got the bigger teeth, you're flicking through it a lot more. You're trying to come right through to catch them all. When the teeth are this small and you're cutting here, you've not got much space. You've got like from here to here to flick through. And then you need to be coming away from the hair, because you don't want to start flicking through from here and then take all that away by accident. So just around the edges of the hairline again. I'll do this bit first, and then I'll do that bit after, so you can see for the camera angle. You can see here his head actually starts to dent in the way there too. So it just adds like an extra little bit, because you're actually going to scoop in, then back out here, and then you're trying to get back out before you get too deep into there. Because you don't want to lose this shape by having to cut all this away in there, and then you've still got it on the other side. On the other side I put a 0.5 line in all the way around here. With this side here, I'm not sure I want to put that line in right there and then have to fade it out here. So I'm going to blend down on this side. I'm going to do the 1 next, and I'm just going to work my way down until this line is dissolved. Just so that I control it a bit more. I don't think to make a fade symmetrical on both sides, I don't think it means you have to use the exact same formula. I think you need to actually make it look by eye symmetrical and the same. And if that means you need to do 2 different things on each side to get the same result, then that's better than just trying to replicate it exactly when this side might not respond as well to the techniques we were using on the other side. And then we're going to get the 0.5 and flick into the 1. And see, it flicks a lot shorter and a lot faster. And then close down to the 0 for the last line. And see, I don't even need to use the full blade here. A lot of that's already gone with the 0.5, it already looks light, so it's just where these little darker hairs are, we're just using the corner to match them in with the colour above it. You got to think of colour matching over blending lengths together. You want to be able to learn to flick through the different lengths and take those little dark spots lighter and shorter as you go, without having to worry about, oh, this needs to be a 1 or a 2 or a 0.5. Like, for dark spots like this, you could be taking the 0.5 all the way up to where the 1 and the 1.5 was, just to take certain little bits of it shorter so that the colour matches in again. And then, see, that's already now pretty much faded. And we can just refine all this at the end. We'll blend out this bit first. You know, swap in there. Let's see how fast we can get this bit at the back done. You can see the hair is a lot more sparse down here, so I'm changing the angles a lot more. I'm using a lot more of my teeth and up on kind of a sidewards angle here to come up and under the hair and fade it into that longer length. We can use a 0.5 guard, open it up to like a shorter one. This is similar to the wall guard, and we can just flick into the dark bits again. You'll hear it cut them as well as see it. If you're not hearing it cut anything, then it's not cutting it. Now you can see all the blend is pretty much done, but we just need to refine how all this is sitting. And I'm probably going to use scissor over comb again just to be extra careful with it. And get the shape up done on this side. I've got to blend the beard as well. So, same as the other side, tilt the head down, and you can see there's almost like a little natural gap here anyway, just where this teeth is, or this tooth. So we're going to want to scoop in there and bring it round. So on this hand, I'm going to rest on this finger. I'm just going to do the same as the other side. Just use where the natural gaps in the hair are. Just check there's nothing too long hanging over. and swap over this side again. Sorry. It's tan in the eye. We might need to use the 1.5 guard a little bit here at the end. To be honest, I might have left it a little bit too heavy. We'll blend the spin first and see. So it's better leaving a bit more to take off than taking it too short off the bat and then not being able to stick it back on. We're just trying to soften this in here. I think we'll just push the 1.5 guard into there a tiny little bit. And then tell a tiny bit there. See, it's hard to get your comb in here because of this, so I'm just scooping in at an angle and then trying to bring it back round that length anyway, or that kind of angle I should say. You can tilt the head a tiny bit there too, just to make it easier to get under there. And see how tight against the head here to blend this bit, and then I've also scooped into this area to bring that out, and that's letting me match those lengths together a bit more. It's a pretty awkward angle, but you can get pretty good doing that. Now we'll just get the 1.5 guard and just smooth some of this back out, back up to in line with there. There we go. Sweet. Sweet. So I'm going to shape up here now. So he's going to grow it out again. So we can't take it mega high because you can start to see it curve back in there. So if we take this all the way up to here, it's going to create a bit of a ledge, and then we're going to have to layer this to stop it having a big round bump there. So I'm going to comb all this down. We're just going to touch the edges of it. So can I tilt you back like that? You can see how it's kind of coming down and down. So we just want to even out the middle bit. I can use my finger as a rest here. And here, I'm just going to touch in. See, I'm barely touching that, but just taking the tiny little wispy ends off it makes it look so much sharper. I'll do the same here and just join it in. Sweet. And then at the back, we can just sweet, and then we're going to get the scissor and the comb. We're just going to texturize all of this as well. Get it really choppy. So we're just going to take little sections and we're just going to point cut right into it all. Especially here. There'll be a little corner away that we can see there. We can soften that too. It just lets you keep the length without it bulking up too much above the fade. Same on the other side. And what I'm doing here is I'm scooping in. I'm getting all the hairs coming straight out. I'm gripping it tight there, and then I'm bouncing the bottom blade off this finger, so pulling away as I slice down parallel to the hair. It means you won't cut yourself. And you're not taking big chunks of the hair out either. And around here as well, where it does seem to round a little bit, we can see where it goes from super short, where it was shaped up the past few haircuts, to a bit longer. So this bulkiness here, we can definitely get rid of some of that, or at least slice into it. Anywhere you think is sitting heavy, you can take a bit of weight out. And then the same at the back here. And all around here. So let's put a bit of going to put a bit of going to put a bit of clay in there to style it. It's pretty strong hold, matte finish. And because his hair is really short and it's really springy at this length, this will add a little bit of weight in as well. You could maybe use the powder, but I think this will have a little bit more control and help manipulate a little bit more into a style rather than just the powder that just wants to make it spring up a bit. Just rub it all over and coat all the hair. That's what's kind of hard to explain what you're doing, because you're kind of just doing it by eye to what you think looks good. You just have to play about with this kind of stuff here until you get the techniques of it down yourself and you learn how to make the hair do things as you kind of go. It's one of those things that the more you try and explain what you're doing, the less you actually really understand what you're doing yourself as well. How messy do you want it here?
It's good at that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And there we go. There's a mirror there. You feeling alright, bro?
Yeah, looking good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go, guys. That is our burst fade, kind of burst fade, short mullet, growing out from a buzz cut tutorial, whatever you want to call that haircut. Yeah, if you found it helpful, give the channel a subscribe, give it a like if you found it useful as well, and share it with someone else. It helps us reach more people. And if you have any ideas for anything you want to learn as well, or anything you're stuck with, comment it in the comments below and we'll try and make a video on it as fast as we can. Thank you.